I'm not superstitious. I'm not sensitive, or whatever word people use when they want to feel special about being scared. I'm just a guy who needed a paycheck in a dead town, where the only places that still hire are gas stations and restaurants that should have closed 10 years ago. Last summer, I took the night shift at a delivery joint called Circle Slice. It's the kind of place with a mascot so old the vinyl suit smells like a cat carrier, and a menu that acts ambitious but tastes like cardboard pessimism. Nights were slow, which I liked. Slow meant quiet. Quiet meant I could line up podcasts and let the timer in my phone make the shift go down easy. If you need a baseline for me, here it is. Rational, grounded, and perpetually broke. I wasn't looking for ghosts. The order came in at 11:42 p.m. I remember because the store tablet froze on a spinning pizza animation for a full minute before the ticket finally printed. Large sausage and olive, thin crust, 1 2-liter of cola, back door only, the delivery note said. Then bolded beneath, park on the street behind house. And then, don't ring the bell. Knock. My manager, Sam, loved anything that broke the monotony. He ducked his head out from the office, saw my face, and grinned. Last run of the night, he said. Take it. It's outside our radius, I said. We'll comp the mileage. Come on, hero. We're 5 minutes from close, and you've been sitting on the sink like a gargoyle. The address made my brain itch like I should have recognized it. I didn't. Not then. I bagged up the pie, grabbed the soda, and slid into the rat-wheezing delivery Corolla, whose best feature was an air freshener that smelled like melted crayons. The heat had been clinging to town all week, even after sunset. Out on the edge, the air gets syrupy and still, the kind that makes the inside of your mouth taste like hot pennies. My GPS rerouted twice and then took me down a street that wasn't really a street, more like a stubborn scar through an overgrown lot. No streetlights, no porch lights, the kind of dark that swallows your headlights and leaves the road chewing gum gray. Here's the part I keep replaying. The Corolla rolled to a stop. I killed the engine because the bug zapper hum of it suddenly felt too loud. And in that new quiet, I heard it, knocking from somewhere ahead of me, past the little hill of weeds, down the slope where a backyard should be. Not frantic, not polite, measured. The pattern was clean. 3 knocks, pause, 1 knock, pause, 3 knocks. A little too slow to be impatient, a little too steady to be friendly, a rhythm practiced enough to have meaning. I held the pizza bag and the soda like a kid holds pool floaties, and I moved up the slope. The house, if you could still call it that, was a shell, not the fresh, dramatic skeleton of a recent fire, but the sunk-shouldered carcass of a place that had burned, been rained on, and then forgotten. The siding was black with smoke icing. 2 windows looked like missing teeth. The roof had a bite taken out of it, and yet this is what made my scalp crawl. The back door was intact. White paint, cheap curtain, a small pane of glass at the top, like an eye that was choosing not to blink. The note said, "Don't ring the bell," so I knocked. 3, 1, 3, just to be funny, I guess, just to prove I wasn't spooked. Immediately, from the other side of the door, the same pattern tapped back. I don't scare easy, but my stomach went cold. I told myself it was an echo, a coincidence, some rattling leftover of the wood. Then I did what you do when you want to stay an adult. You keep going. I cleared my throat, called out, "Circle Slice," because my voice needed to sound like something I recognized. Behind the little curtain, something moved, not much, a fingertip of motion in the fabric, like a breath that didn't want to admit itself. "Circle Slice," I said again louder, and my voice came back at me from inside, that burned belly of a house, sounding thinner than I wanted. A shape came into the square of glass, just an eye at first. That's what I thought. But the longer I looked, the less sure I was that the dark circle was an eye and not a hole burned clean through the curtain. Then the curtain shifted, just a little, and I could make out the curve of a cheek, the edge of a smile that was too wide to be casual. There was dirt or ash smeared across their skin in streaks, like someone had run muddy fingers over their face and decided to stop mid-wipe. The knob turned a whisper, stopped. The door stayed shut. A voice, close to the wood, cheerful, high, but not childish. "You're late." I checked my phone like an idiot. 11:58. "Sorry." "Potholes," I said. "That'll be 2280. They laughed. That sound went through me. Not because it was loud, but because it was soft, like it didn't need air. "You took the long way," the voice said. "You went up Harlan, then cut down Maple Ridge, then you sat at the four-way for 90 seconds, because you thought a cop was hiding behind the sycamore." I hadn't passed a single car on Maple Ridge. I hadn't seen a cop. The sycamore is real, though, huge as a memory. I stared at the door and tried to assemble my face into something like a smile. "You watching traffic cams or something?" "I like watching you," the voice said, and I hated how small that made me feel. "Look, dude, I don't have change for a 50. The curtain twitched. The knob turned again. Then, as if someone remembered something and decided against it, the knob let go. "Back door only." That's what the note said. I was at the back door. I knocked again. This time, before my knuckles landed, the pattern came from inside, beating me to it. 3, 1, 3. My breathing sounded like I was wearing someone else's chest. I started to edge backward, because survival lives in your knees, even when your brain is still trying to be polite. That's when the phone in my pocket buzzed. Not a call, a notification. Delivery completed. Customer rating, 5 out of 5. Tip, $15. Note, thank you for coming back. We were starving. I hadn't handed them anything. "I haven't," I started, and stopped. My mouth felt wrong. The curtain shifted more decisively. The smile pressed into the glass, wide enough to catch the light. That wasn't there. The teeth were dirty. The eyes, okay, I'm not going to dress it up. They were wrong. Wide and dry, rimmed in a line of soot and something like grease. They didn't blink. I realized, sickly late, that I'd been thinking of the eye as a whole because there was no glint, no wet reflection, no living catch of light, just a dead round. "Back door only," the voice said again, but sweeter now, like we were playing house. "Come closer." "No," I said, and it came out thin again. "I'm leaving." "You've been here before," the voice said. "You just don't remember." Something thumped inside, slow and irregular, like furniture being dragged carefully across bare floor by someone who wanted to savor the scrape. Then that knocking again, not on the door this time, but from somewhere deeper in the house. 3, 1, 3, answered by another, further away. 3, 1, 3. A conversation of knocks. I backed down the slope and nearly twisted my ankle in a rut. The Corolla's unlocked chirp sounded cartoonishly bright. I slid in, locked the doors, and the first thing I did wasn't start the engine. It was look up the address. I should have recognized it. A year ago, a fire had eaten that house. Family of 3. The parents made it out. The kid didn't. If this were a ghost story, you'd be happy now. "Ah," you'd say, the tragic drip of backstory. But the write-up I found was all details and no shape. Faulty wiring, a candle too close to a curtain, a space heater. The article had one picture, a white back door with a small square of glass. The curtain in the photo was the same cheap pattern I was looking at through my own windshield. I started the engine, jammed it into reverse, and something hit the trunk with a flat, palm-like smack. I whipped around. The rear view showed my own face, small and pale, and behind it, the slope and the door. No one on the slope, nothing at the door. When I shifted back to drive, the Corolla lurched like the weight had just lifted off the trunk. I drove. I drove like the road owed me. On the way, the delivery tablet piped up with cheerfulness, so synthetic it made me want to bite it. New order available. Same address. Same note. Back door only. The timestamp was 12:06 a.m. I canceled it. It popped back. I canceled it again. It popped back with a push notification that read, "We noticed you skipped an easy order. Everything okay?" Back at Circle Slice, I walked in with the empty bag and a face that told Sam not to start. "Customer tip good?" he asked anyway. I put my phone on the counter. He leaned in, read the rating, and gave a low whistle. $15? See? Hero. "Sam," I said, "do you remember that house on Candlewick that burned last year? Family of 3? He stopped mid-smirk. "Yeah," he said slowly. Just the parents walked out. "This was that house," I said. "They raided me. They knocked back." Sam's smile crawled away like a spilled bug. "You're screwing with me. I wouldn't use that house for a joke." He took my phone and scrolled and squinted. Then he went into the order history on the store tablet, which he guarded like a dragon. He looked at me, looked back at the screen. Then he turned the tablet around. There was no order. Not under my name. Not with that address. Nothing at 1142. Nothing at 1158. The last digital footprint I had was the printed ticket, torn and now sticky with soda condensate in my pocket, and the notification I'd already screenshotted twice because I was panicking. "Maybe it's a glitch," Sam said. We stood there in the fluorescence, both waiting for the relief that didn't come. The store was closing around us, the ovens cooling, the refrigeration unit coughing, the ballooning silence of midnight settling in. He handed me the tablet back and patted my shoulder with hands that smelled like dough. "Go home," he said. "Sleep. Come back tomorrow, and we'll laugh about your haunted Yelp review." I didn't sleep. I sat on my bed, shirt stuck to my back, phone face down beside me, trying to turn what happened into something my blood would accept. At 2:13 a.m., my bedroom window, as closed as it gets in summer, clicked in a way windows don't. Not loud, not a rattle. A click, like a fingernail gently testing the latch. 3. 1. 3. I didn't move. The knock came from the window glass itself. 3. 1. 3. I got up, because I am stupid and human and need to know the shape of my fear. I lifted the blind with 2 fingers to make the smallest slit of sight. No one was there. Across the room, my door, the one that opens to the hallway, shifted a fraction, like someone's breath moved it, from the other side. Every hair on my arms rose like a field of static. My phone buzzed. I didn't want to touch it. It kept buzzing. I looked. A new note had been added to the completed order. "You took the long way again." I'd been in my house for hours. I called the police then. I think the memory is smeared. I know I talked to a dispatcher who said the right things, in a voice designed to be a soft bridge over other people's panic. I know 2 officers came and did a polite, thorough walkthrough of my one-bedroom life. They were younger than the story wanted them to be. I showed them the screenshot. They said anyone could fake an address in an app. I asked if we could do something about the window knocks. They suggested I talk to my landlord about weather stripping. When they were halfway down the stairs, one of them turned back and asked, "You said it was Candlewick? The one with the kid?" "Yeah," I said. "He got that look people get when they remember a rumor and try to dress it in facts." We got called out there a bunch the year before. Welfare checks, noise complaints, that kind of thing. The neighbors hated the dad's drum practice. He drummed the pattern on the door frame with 2 knuckles. 3. 1. 3. Said he'd do it late. Kid got good at copying it. "Don't," I said, and my voice cracked, like I was pleading with him not to finish a sentence. They left. I locked the door. I wedged a chair under the knob because fear makes you archaic. When I finally slept, it wasn't a brave sleep. It was the kind that happens to you. In the morning, Sam texted, "Call me ASAP." I jumped like the phone bit me, and then called. He picked up on the first ring and said, without hello, You need to see this. I drove to the store. He was already on the tablet, face bleached by screen light, even though the sun was blasting the storefront like a heat lamp. He'd pulled up our public reviews page, the one no one reads, because no one wants to know what people think of bad pizza. At the top, a new 5-star review from a fresh account with an empty profile picture. On time. Friendly. He remembers. The attached photo was our back lot, with the break room door in the center frame. On the door, smeared clear and deliberate, were handprints made of something dark. Not blood, too brown, too clotted looking, but not dirt either. 4 right hands, 1 left, each one pressed at the height of a child. We went outside. The heat hit me like a slap. The door was just a door. No smears, no prints. We stared like the act of staring could summon evidence into existence. It didn't. Sam said, "We should delete the account." I said, "Go ahead." He said, almost to himself, "You've been here before." I didn't ask what he meant. That night, I turned my phone off and put it in the freezer, because there's a childish part of me that believes cold can kill a signal the way it used to kill film. At 11:42 p.m., the kitchen lights dimmed, just a hiccup, and in the brief drop of brightness, someone knocked at my back door. 3, 1, 3. I didn't look. I didn't move. I listened to a hand slowly find the frame, explore the wood as if reading Braille, like it had all the time in the world to learn the shape of me. I waited for my phone to buzz in the freezer. It did, faint, distant, patient. The order never canceled. It hasn't canceled since. I have screenshots of ratings attributed to places I've never gone, times I was not awake to deliver them, little notes that talk about the route I took and the way my shoulders tense when I turn left too fast. You took the long way, they always say. You took the long way again. The police can't act on app notifications and a knock any kid could fake. Sam pretends we had a glitch that night, so the story can be simple, inside his head. I moved apartments, changed jobs, and keep my windows sealed like I'm underwater. Still, the knocks find the glass, the pattern doesn't change, and sometimes, on the darkest nights, the ones that smell like burned plastic and wet wallpaper, I lift the blind just enough to see the square of the world outside. There's no face, there never is, but if I stand there long enough, a deck chair somewhere down the block will scrape the concrete, or a kid will bang a pipe against a fence, or a passing car will thud, flat-palmed, against a loose manhole cover, and the rhythm is always the same. 3, 1, 3. Polite, practiced, patient as hunger.